Hi there, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 8 of D2Football.com's NSIC Weekly Podcast. I'm Tom Frederick, announcer for the University of Sioux Falls, and known as Mr. USF, according to a segment of our loyal fan base. The second half of our dynamic duo is the lovable, huggable shoeshine boy, D2 Northern Sun Conference columnist Matt Witwicky. And Whit, what a week 6. Another unbeaten Falls. A second almost bit the schnitz, and at long last, Augustana University is ranked in the top 25. Things are starting to shake out in the NSIC.
Shoeshine boy.
Yeah, you're not familiar with the old cartoon Underdog?
I couldn't tell what reference you were making there. Okay. You remember Droopy Dog? I remember him from when I was a kid. You remember him?
Droopy Dog and Quick Draw.
Listen, Butch, I'm not very happy. Remember him?
I do, and you do an excellent Droopy Dog.
Thank you. I was kind of been working on that. Well, you know what, Tom? We've kind of got a little bit of a surprise that happened last minute here with a lot of our fan base doesn't fully realize that you're kind of a big deal, Tom. We had just last night, Midcoast Sports, our regional cable operator in the Sioux Falls area, did a whole piece on your storied career as a sportscaster. It's currently available on their platform, and it'll be on their socials here within about a week or so. They did a great job, I thought, of telling your story as a broadcaster. And I just have a few screenshots, Tom, because I think that our fan base kind of needs to know a little bit about this, because they may only know you as the long-haired renegade that's on our pod instead of, kind of some of your history. So I'm going to go ahead, if you're okay with it. Well, even if you aren't, we're going to go ahead and tell us a little bit, the sportscaster's life, Tom Frederick. First off, a haircut from what, about 3 years ago, maybe?
Probably 5.
Okay, I like 3. Yep. And so as we kind of continue on, you obviously do basketball games, for those who don't know. Here you are doing an interview back, I'm going to say circa 2008.
He was
with
only
a coach who's kind of known a little bit now. Who's that?
Probably only making $80,000-$90,000 a year then, as opposed to $3.5 million now. That's Kalen DeBoer.
Absolutely. He looks entertained. And then they have a little more of a shot to modern day. Wow, there's so many different directions I could go with this. So they came in, and Alex Heinert, who I thought did a fantastic job for Midco, he went and followed you to the gym. Tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, he reached out to me, and I tweet on my free throw shooting.
Oh, you do? I haven't seen any of those.
Yeah, exploits. And he said, "Hey, I'd like to come and video you doing that, and then maybe expand this into a segment on Midco Sports Magazine." And
okay, well, you don't just shoot free throws. Tell the group who doesn't maybe follow you on Twitter. I mean, boy, I'm sure they can't wait now. What is your deal with shooting free throws? Do you just shoot 5? What do you do?
Well, it's part of my exercise regimen. I get there in the morning and I shoot 100 free throws to loosen up, and then I go upstairs and do the rest of my workout, cardio and a few weights, just to keep this temple in good shape.
Now, what are you normally making out of those these days? Are you over an 80% clip?
Oh, yeah, 87, 88% on average.
Now, is that with both feet behind the line, like or like before, where you were doing your stepping forward as you shot?
If you noticed in this piece, there were no lane violations.
We didn't happen to get a photo of any of that, of course. So here you are in the booth. Of course,
Where am I there?
Mr. Reserve, call it down the middle, with being a cheerleader in the booth on the USF score, I see.
I suppose I could sound like Droopy Dog doing the game if you would.
No. But on a serious note here, your partner there, Tim Hyatt, you guys are peanut butter and jelly, you guys together on these broadcasts, the best in the Northern Sun. And I'm not throwing shade at anybody else. I'm just being really honest. You guys are a really good pairing. Now, what a lot of people don't realize, Tom, is that your preparation that goes into these games. This is a picture of you out front with your flip chart with all the guys on the two deep. By the way, some of the best calves in the business. I thought I'd point that out. But explain to our viewers a little bit what preparation you do. How long's what all goes into that, and a little bit of the walk around.
I put a two teep together, and then I spend some time memorizing it, going for a stroll around the neighborhood. Or in this case, I was sitting out front on my patio and just talking to myself, going over who the starters were. I believe in this case for Minnesota State Mankato, week 1 is when they recorded this. So it's over and over, just read them, recite them out loud, name, number, position, and move on to the next one. So
why do you feel compelled to do that?
Because I want to memorize. So when it happens in the course of a game, I don't have to check the roster to find out who carried the ball or who made the stop or who had that pick 6 for the game-winning touchdown. It's got to be at the ready, right upstairs and flow off.
You're able to commit all that to memory within about a 45-minute window?
Yeah. Yep.
That's impressive. Okay. Well, I thought it was a tremendous piece they did on you, and I'm going to encourage our fan base to go find it on socials here within the next week from Midco Sports. I think they did a great job on it. They also obviously do a whole lot more than what we're talking about here in just these few pictures. You get to find out a lot more about the history with Tom, being at USD, what 25 years ago, roughly?
Early 90s for 6 years. Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
I thought the heavenly voice biblical look was a stretch.
Me too.
I'm thinking about using that in my online dating profile, though. What do you think?
Oh boy, I'll just let that go.
I don't even have one. I'm not going to create one.
Yeah, we're just going to let that go.
I will say that there are many others out there more deserving for inclusion on a show like this one than me, but I'm very thankful to Alex Heinert and his producer Josh Muntz for their treatment of me.
Well, we all thought it was a very fitting thing that you were on there, and you're one of the best to ever do this in the state of South Dakota, and I'm just lucky the fact that you're on this show with me, to be real frank. I'm glad you said yes to it. So thank you, buddy.
We've got a guest coming up, and I'm sure he is bored out of his gourd now. So what do you say we get the ball rolling?
We will.
The week that was, huh?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Do your magic work there as the producer of this thing. There's what we want. Yes. They recognize 3 players each week, they being the NSIC, for their production on offense, defense, and special teams. Now, if you ask me, the league may just want to rename the Offensive Player of the Week award the Nick Bowen Trophy. Wayne State's junior quarterback from Bennington, Nebraska, has picked up the hardware for a 3rd time. 3 out of 6 weeks, for crying out loud. What Bowen did was account for 200 yards of total offense and 3 touchdowns in the Wildcats' 28-18 win over previously unbeaten and nationally ranked Minnesota Duluth.
You know what? He has played so well this year that, he continues to put himself in the position to get this award. I mean, if I'm going to be critical and, we're candid on this show. I honestly thought the moment Jalen Richardson had the game he did, he was going to probably win the award this week. And I'm not sure he didn't deserve it himself, running back from Concordia, who had 3 scores and over 150 yards against your Cougars. But, at the same time, Bowen, we were on top of Bowen and thought that he was the best offensive player in the conference last year, and he has not let us down this year at all.
Yep. I'm not looking forward to playing him a little bit later on.
Yeah,
but he's a good player. Grabbing defensive honors, Northern junior linebacker Trey King. He's out of Irene, South Dakota, just south of Sioux Falls. King recorded 7 tackles in a 46-9 win over Minot State, and 5 of those tackles were TFLs. Plus, he forced 2 fumbles in that Wolves' big win over Minot State.
Yeah, 5 TFLs in one game is like a full season for some guys. So kind of had a resume day last Saturday.
And the cream of the crop among special teamers this week, Mankato junior kicker Matthew Jager. He's out of Plymouth, Minnesota. He nailed a 34-yard field goal with 4 seconds left to give MSU a 24-21 win over Moorhead.
Yeah, a pressure kick, and frankly, he got the Mavs out of a pretty messy situation that they found themselves in.
All right, moving right along from players of the week to the week that was. Let's start a revisit here on week 6. Mankato and Augustana, the NSIC's lone unbeatens at this point. They are both 6-0. There wasn't a non-conference game on Saturday, so the league remains 5-2 against outside foes. We open things up with a look at Minnesota Duluth's journey to Wayne America in a matchup of the top 2 dual threat quarterbacks in the Northern Sun. Kyle Wall-Jasper and UMD suffered their first setback of the season, 28-18, to the previously mentioned Nick Bowen and Wayne State College. Here is our own Howitt Cosell to describe the action. Give us the highlights, Howitt.
Well, here we go, starting off the action with a little bit of a tush-push here for Wall-Jasper on the score. That was considered a score right there, and then Wayne State says, whatever you can do, I can do better, and they follow theirs up right there. Then Latravius Boyd goes ahead. He gets open space, and if you thought he was going fast a minute ago, just wait till you see him get going there. Explosive runner for Wayne, and then the quarterback we just mentioned a moment ago finds the end zone once again with his feet. And, that was all they needed. They did a great job of really limiting and bullying their neck at big moments. Wayne State did in this contest.
Boy, that Boyd, he's fast, isn't he? Man.
I tell you, you haven't seen a guy move like that in a while.
Faithful podcast viewers, and you know who you are, Witt has once again convinced another NSIC coach to take time from plotting strategy to talk with us. And there he is, Wayne State's Logan Masters. Welcome to the pod. We call it NSIC Weekly. Rumor has it you're no stranger to this little community. You may have watched an episode or two over the years.
Yeah, date night with my wife. So,
all right. I don't know if that speaks well for your marriage or not. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you on board this week.
Tom, we don't get that reply very often. So, Coach, let me ask you, you guys were able to limit UMD offensively on Saturday, allowing them below their typical output, only, less than 100 yards in the air, then only 18 points. What was the plan, and how were you guys able to pull that off?
Yeah, Coach McLaughlin, our defense coordinator, does a heck of a job. But it really comes down to just discipline. I mean, as crazy as it sounds, it's almost triple option-esque with quarterback running. Then you get bad eyes. That's when they're hit you with the play action and things like that. And so our back end did a really good job of covering guys and staying on top of the big plays, the post, and things like that. And also, we didn't get to him, but we got him out of the pocket. We made him have to run around and make some hard throws on the run. And we just did a good job of all those little things. We'd like to get him a few times for sacks. We've had guys there, but he's really stinking good, and he's hard to tackle. But that kind of was the key. I mean, it's team defense. You let any quarterback in this league sit back there in the pocket, they're going to pick you apart. So getting him off his landmarks where he wants to throw, and then the back end just staying on top of routes and having small windows to throw into.
Coach, when I was watching the game, it didn't take me long to figure out, they're rallying to the football defensively better than I'd seen teams defend Wall-Jasper. Was that kind of a part of the deal as well? We got to get to him with numbers.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big dude. He runs hard, and it's hard for one guy to bring him down. And that was kind of what we were lacking the couple of weeks before that is almost too much trust and that the first guy is going to get him down. And we just talked about we got to get as many hats to the football as possible. And good things usually typically happen when you get more than one guy to the ball carrier, and that's when maybe a ball comes out or things like that. Now, we didn't get him to pop one out or anything like that, but we limited some of those big runs and kept them in the smaller chunks. And again, with any type of offense, you get big explosive plays. your chances of scoring go way up. And we were able to limit those for the most part. But on their scoring drives, they did have big chunk plays. And again, that comes to, like you said, getting a bunch of guys to the football and getting them down.
Sure.
The Wildcats were dealt a blow before the season started. Your linebacker, Alex Kowalczyk, a member of the D2Football.com Elite 100, injured his knee, lost for the year. How you've been able to overcome the loss of your leading tackler, and primarily, I want to know too how his recovery is coming from that knee injury.
Yeah, Alex. I mean, there's no way you replace a player like that. His recovery is going well. He's now starting to be able to. He's still in a boot, be able to walk on it and stuff, not on his little cart anymore and crutches. So he's got a little bit of a road recovery, but there's not a kid that I've ever been around that works as hard and is dedicated to making himself the best version of him as AK. And if there was a good thing about it, which there really isn't, it happened so early in fall camp, we were able to start throwing in some young guys and moving some pieces around to try and find the right guys to fit in. And then really we just talked to the whole defense and really the whole team. It takes all of us to make up for losing AK. You can't just put that on one young man's shoulders because I think that's not fair. And he's really stinking good. I mean, he's so instinctual, and you maybe fool him once and you try and do it again, there's not a chance that's going to happen. He's a sure tackler. He's sneaky athletic. I mean, I'm glad he's Wildcat, I guess, best way to put it. So, yeah, it's not ideal, but again, we have no control over that. He's now on the road to recovery, and we can get the year back and hopefully get him for 2 more years.
I joked earlier that the league may just as well name the Offensive Player of the Week trophy for Nick Bowen. He's won it 3 of the 6 weeks thus far. Describe Nick as a quarterback and what he means to not just your offense, but to the entire team.
Yeah, Nick's special. I mean, he's the thing people don't realize too, going into last year, he had shoulder surgery. So he didn't get fully cleared before a week we played Mary. And so just you miss spring ball, you miss summer workouts. He was there, but he was on like a pitch count, like a pitcher, excuse me. And that kind of worked through fall camp, and he got fully cleared. And we rolled with him because he just makes winning plays. He finds a way to lead us. When things get hard, it seems like Nick becomes his best. And when you got a top player like that works as hard as him and does the little things right, it's real easy for other guys to jump on and follow. And Nick's not the most over vocal person, but he does everything right, and he puts us in a position to win football games, whether it's with his arm, which really came along here this season, and kind of having a full off season to become a better passer, and which has allowed us to not have to run him so much, because I know sometimes last year he was the running back as much as we ran him, but he just wins, and he's competitive, and he works hard, and he's a student of the game. Just everything you want in a quarterback.
The offense isn't totally reliant on Nick, though. We mentioned the name Latravius Boyd, which showed the highlight of his big run on Saturday, plus a wide receiver, Kendrick Watkins-Hogue. These guys are becoming difference makers for the Wildcat offense. How important has their emergence been?
It's been huge. I mean, Kendrick and Latravius last year, we said their Christmas presents that it's been wrapped up for a year and you can't open for a year, because we know we had the redshirt both of them last year. And so it'd been nice to throw them out there last year, but it just wasn't in the cards. And so we knew that they were going to be pretty stinking good, and they've been everything we've hoped, and they just keep getting better and better for us. And that's surrounding yourself with good people makes your job a lot easier. And having an O-line that's all back, and we had a transfer who's played a lot of football in the league. The tight ends are all back. Wide receiver, like I said, most of our guys are back, and then you throw in Kendrick. And then running backs, where we kind of lost some guys, but Travius and Dawson Forgy have been outstanding. And so we probably have more weapons than we had last year. We're a little bit better up front, so we don't have to do so much extra blocker stuff, having the running back be a fullback for Nick and things like that, which I think makes us a little bit tougher to defend, because now we can try and spread you out and throw it and give the ball to the backs a little bit more and things like that. So, yeah, it's I think Nick's job's been a little bit easier because we've got him surrounded by some pretty good players.
You know, Coach, since COVID, the Wildcats have kind of been sparked, it seems like, Coach McMenamin, then to your tenure as well, running the squad. You guys have had multiple wins over teams like Mankato, UMD. You beat Sioux Falls last year in a have-to-have-it game to go to the playoffs. And, what do you think things really got? I mean, what really ignited things during that window? What are your thoughts?
It's crazy to sound, and I'm kind of stealing this line from Coach McMenamin, was COVID might have been the best thing that happened to Wayne State football. Like I said, that right. I don't want to come out wrong or anything, but we basically got redshirt the whole program by not having a season. And so it allowed us to not necessarily go full Deion Sanders and totally flip the roster. It allowed us to work with guys, try and change habits for things that we wanted to do here with our football program. But then it brought in our junior class, and they would have to play as true freshmen. Well, instead they got a red shirt. We got to lift as a full team and basically get the whole program to be bigger, faster, stronger for a full off season. And then too, I mean, Coach McMenamin started, but he put together a heck of a staff. And when I was able to take over for him, the awesome part about him going to Tulane was he couldn't take the whole staff and split us up. Right. And so we got to stick together. And now there's been a few guys that have had to leave. And obviously the first thing when I got hired was to go get Coach Prosser from Minnesota State Mankato. And getting him on board has really helped as well, because he's a heck of an O-line coach, really good play caller. And for being a first-time head coach, let me deal a little bit more with the head coaching stuff instead of having to be everything 24/7 in the offense now. Just the way I am. I'm still going to be involved. And our relationship is, I'd say, pretty special and different, just being teammates and college roommates and things like that than probably your average head coach OC thing. But Coach Man put us all together, and I've been blessed that these guys wanted to stay around, and we can have coaches stick together, that continuity, be on the same page. And then too, recruiting. I mean, it's good players make us look like we know what the heck we're doing. And so we put a lot of emphasis there. We've kind of changed our practice schedules and things like that, so we can be on the road a little bit more in the season, going out recruiting, because you never know what hidden gem you can find going to watch them, and how they interact, how they handle adversity. I mean, how they handle success, coaching. I mean, everyone looks good on a highlight tape, but finding those other little things has really helped our recruiting. And like I said, good players that know how to win and do the little things right makes our job a heck of a lot easier.
Whit pointed out earlier that I'm old. I've been around a long time. And I asked this question of nearly every coach at the halfway point of the season. It's midterm time. Your team is 5-1. What grade have the Wildcats earned at this stage of the year?
Ugh. Well, if that was our midterm, we did pretty well on our midterm, but the leading up to it wasn't quite up to par. So I don't know. I think we still haven't played. We played hard, and we played pretty well versus Duluth, but there were still plenty of mistakes, plenty of things that we can get better at going forward. So, I mean, it's encouraging that we haven't played our best football or we've peaked yet, in our opinion. And I don't know. I'd say we'll go a solid B.
Okay. Coach Logan Masters is our guest here tonight. He is in 2 halls of fame, believe it or not, Wayne State's and the NSIC's. You were a Wildcat wide receiver. You hold the school record for catches and receiving yards. As a player, you were part of the first Wayne squad to reach the D2 playoffs. And then last year, as coach, you guided them to the postseason as well. What's it like, number one, coaching your alma mater? And secondly, was it a bigger thrill to make the playoffs as a player or a coach?
It's pretty cool. We just had homecoming this past week, and like people always ask, like, do you want to win homecoming more? No, I want to win every stinking game. And again, I don't care if it's at Wayne State or I'm coaching for a team on the Mars or something like that. It's just the way you get wired. You just want to win. But the cool part is being able to have so much positivity around the program, see people's eyes, and when they talk about Wayne State football, and be excited. And that's the special part. And the guys I used to play with, getting those texts after games because they're paying attention and following games because things are on the right track right now. That's what makes it special. And probably shouldn't say this, but like I'd say being a coach is probably more rewarding because you work a lot harder as a coach. I don't remember working that hard as a player. Just you did what the coaches said. You lifted, you ran, you went to practice, did your homework, and they put us in a position to succeed. And it's also been a few years since we played. So another cool thing this weekend with that 2018 gets inducted in the Hall of Fame. So good to see some old buddies haven't seen for a while. So I mean, that's just the special thing about football is you go through so much hard stuff, you just become family, and you have memories and stories and a bond that, I don't know, unmatched, I guess.
I don't think you just did what you were told. You had some natural ability there. You're in 2 halls of fame, Coach. Not too bad as a player, I think.
Coach, last thing for you here. You guys have another top team from the North, a physical squad, coming to play. Duluth a week ago, Bemidji State this week. Obviously UMD like to run their quarterback a little bit more than Bemidji, even though Mr. Alt's decided to do a few keepers this year just to keep us honest. But what do you guys, when you throw on the film for Bemidji right now, what do you see in?
They're old. They're very experienced. I mean, I don't know how many guys who've been playing a bunch for 3-4 years, even some guys before COVID. And that's can't coach that. I mean, those game experience reps are so important. And so guys been playing for a while. Obviously, they're very talented. Quarterback is a stud. And defense, I mean, it's real similar to what we went against this past weekend. They're good. They're physical. They want to get after the quarterback. And when it comes to games like this, and anytime you're playing a good team, we got 2 good quarterbacks. We got to protect our quarterback, and we got to make their quarterback be uncomfortable. And so, I mean, to me, I think whichever team does that the best probably has the best chance of winning. Obviously, turnovers and penalties, things like that play a big role. But with all those things being equal, if we can get him to not be comfortable and we can protect Nick, you got a chance. And if they do that, flip it to us, they're going to like their chances. And so they're really good, and they've made a little bit more of a – we didn't play them last year, I guess. So, but just from the looks of it, made more of an emphasis to run the football this year than maybe last year. And so I think that makes them even tougher to defend because play soft, start dropping 8, things like that. They got 2 really good running backs that you give them a crease, it's gone. And, again, we got to tackle well. We got to get a bunch of hats to the football. But there's a reason why they've been one of the top dogs in our league here the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
Wayne State coach Logan Masters, thank you so much for joining us on NSIC Weekly. Best wishes for the rest of the season for you and your team.
Thanks, guys, for having me. Go Cats.
Thanks, Coach.
Logan Masters, 14-4 in 2 years on the sidelines in Wayne, America. And another big one this weekend for his 5-1 Wildcats, hosting top 20 ranked Bemidji State, 1 p.m. at Bob Cunningham Field. All right, continuing the Week 6 recap. Ooh, the first one on the list there is the game I did. Sioux Falls 35, Concordia St. Paul 28 up at Seafoam Stadium. Cougars trailed 21-20 after 3 quarters, but the defense forced 2 turnovers, and USF got out of the Twin Cities with the win. Connor Aldrich had the game-winning score on a 50-yard interception return early in the 4th quarter. Wide receiver Carter Slykehouse had a career day, 11 grabs, 134 yards, and a touchdown. And we've lauded this guy earlier in the podcast. Both Whit and myself thought he had the inside track for Player of the Week honors. Golden Bear running back Jalen Richardson. He was a handful, 23 carries, 162 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, this was a very entertaining game to watch. I thought Carter Slykehouse was huge for USF in this game, getting some big grabs for them. I thought Jalen Richardson was as advertised. I mean, I thought that he would be a handful for USF, and he was. Huge pick 6 for Sioux Falls at the end to really secure the victory, to bring them back to even again at 3-3.
Next up, MSU Moorhead lost 24-21 at Mankato. I got a chance to watch the final period of this one on the bus ride home with a number of USF coaches, as you are familiar, have Mankato ties. They were extremely interested. The Dragons missed 2 field goals late. The Mavericks didn't. They converted One with just a few ticks left. As we mentioned, Matt Jager, the special teams player of the week. He had a 34-yarder with 4 seconds left. Remember when Moorhead had a porous defense? Not anymore. They bottled up the NSIC's leading rusher, Sheen Butler Lawson, and put the clamps on an offense that was averaging more than 40 points a game, limiting the Mavericks to just 24. The Mavs, as you mentioned earlier, fortunate to escape.
Yeah, I mean, it was 21-all at the break, and all of a sudden we're watching this game going, okay, this is interesting. Teams are trading scores, and, then all of a sudden, I'm taking a look at this, and second half, Moorhead is really slowing down Mankato, and in the fourth quarter, they get to the green zone 3 times, inside the 10, and come away with no points, and then Mankato is able to get just enough going in the air to get themselves in field goal range and, secure the win. Kind of a weird deal with Butler Lawson, that running back. I mean, he's been so hot this year. I mean, almost 1,000 yards rushing. But, over the last few games, he's got, 3 or 4 fumbles. And he's put Mankato kind of in an awkward situation where, they kind of bought him out of the game. And at the same time, you're trying to win a tight game. And, at the end of the day, it just kind of felt like this was a survive and advance thing for the Mavs. And, if they go unbeaten in the regular season, people aren't going to ask about how did they get to 11-0. They're just going to say that they are 11-0.
Have I been sleeping or something? Did I miss the advent of the green zone inside the 10-yard line? I know the red zone's inside the 20, but now we have the green zone too?
Well, you know what? On our Sunday evening show, which I know that you don't make any time to watch, Coach Hoffner from Mankato mentioned the green zone, and I like it. So we're sticking with it. Don't worry, I'll transcribe anytime somebody says something interesting on the Sunday night show since you don't watch.
Appreciate that.
Yes.
And I see I made an error earlier. I overlooked the Augustana Southwest Minnesota State game up on the
That's
big
okay. You're just skipping around on me, making sure I'm paying attention.
The Ponies traveled to Kirkby Over Stadium, Jim Heinitz Field, got thumped 38-6. Viking signal caller Casey Bauman threw for 3 scores. He's got 16 touchdown passes now, second only to
the guy at Moorhead, Strand.
Jack Strand. That was
nobody's going to touch him this year, right?
That was my version of Jeopardy.
Oh, okay. I was on top. Even without knowing it was coming, I was ready.
The Augie Doggies outgained the Mustangs by more than 2-1. They remain unbeaten, and they earned for the first time this year a top 25 ranking.
Yeah, and I thought coming off of the Sioux Falls game, I thought maybe you'd see a little bit of a hangover or letdown. You know what? I thought Augie played really well in this game. They got out and just kind of ran away and hid. And that's what you need to do in these type of games. A few weeks ago against Concordia, they kind of found themselves in a bit of a schmaz. And this one here was clear cut. And I think that's the team. If they're trying to be that kind of team that's going to be in the playoffs, they need to have wins like this.
I think Concordia is better than we have been giving them credit for, Whit.
Than you have. I've been talking them up a little bit this year. Let's not
You
lose
just
track
said they
of
were
that.
part of a schmaz. That's not
Well, a schmaz means that they were in a little bit of a dance that they didn't expect themselves to be in.
All right. Winona State went over to the great state of North Dakota, ventured into Bismarck, the Community Bowl up there, and picked up a 17-7 win at UMary. Quarterback Cole Stenstrom threw 2 first-quarter scores, and the Warriors made it stand up. The WSU defense limited the Marauders to less than 200 yards of offense, and that's typically not going to get the job done, and it didn't.
This is a weird one because Winona, 25 first downs, are moving the chains like crazy, over 400 yards of offense, and 17 points. It comes to the question of why weren't they more productive in terms of the scoreboard? Well, you're 5 of 16 on third downs and 3 of 6 in the red zone, which kind of held them back in this one. Now, Caleb Skelly, transfer from Northern, has really been coming on as their kind of go-to receiver for, quarterback Cole Stenstrom. But they're just going to need to have more points in some of these bigger games that they have. They were able to get by here against Mary. But you know what? Some of the bigger games are upcoming on their schedule, and they're going to need more point output in those contests, along with the good defense they've been getting.
Yeah, they got a big one this weekend at home. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Let's wrap up last week, the final game at Dakota Bank Field in Aberdeen. Minot State got thumped by Northern State 46-9. This despite the fact the Wolves were without their top two quarterbacks. Third stringer Jacob Van Landingham was efficient. He was 11 of 12, 145 yards, 2 touchdown passes. Northern also pounded the rock, which isn't usually their forte. They rushed for nearly 220 yards and 5 touchdowns in that big win over Minot State.
To say that this was a much needed win by Northern for probably not only their coaching staff and players, but also fan base, would be an understatement. It's kind of been a season with turmoil, and they go ahead and get back on the winning track on Gypsy Days. Almost 7,000 people there at the game, and at the same time, I kind of feel like Minot is. When I thought that they were doing better, the earlier this year time, where I thought that they were a dangerous team, even though they were winless. That same squad isn't necessarily the squad that's taking the field right now that you saw weeks ago, Tom. No more Dawson McCleary at quarterback this last week. The bell cow back, Evan Levitt, who I really like, hasn't seen action since you saw him. And that really kind of changes them offensively. And, their depth is now taking a little bit of a hit.
That was week 6 in the NSIC. And as everybody who listens knows, Boss's Pizza and Chicken is the exclusive sponsor of NSIC Weekly. Boss's owner, Jeremy Seafelt, the man is looking to expand, not his waistline, but his business footprint here in the Midwest. NSIC communities could use a good pizza and chicken establishment to double as a neighborhood sports bar for watching the local team. Boss's has 10 locations in the upper Midwest, and they are looking to grow. If you are interested in being a potential franchisee, visit bosspizzaandchicken.com. In the top right corner on the homepage, click on that franchise link. Let them know where you heard about the expansion plans. Let them know of your interest. And our pod will get a nice reward. Or should I say, WIT will get a nice reward. I expect nothing will filter down to me.
Well, I don't know. Maybe we'll think about it. But you know what? I have not had anything since about 11 a.m. this morning. So I'm famished, Tom. So you know what I'm going to end up doing? I am probably going to order me some Bosses. Probably not pepperoni pizza.
Probably chicken.
I've probably got a few week hangover after that situation. But you know what? The chicken sounds real good right now.
When I was there watching you fail miserably on the 29th of September, Jeremy brought out his new recipe for chicken tenders.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Oh, they were delicious.
The first in tenders. We're going to have to get some stuff. You know what? We'll get some promo stuff for that. You know what? Hey, maybe even next week, you and I eat some on air. What do you think about that?
I haven't had supper yet either. And next Tuesday, I'm not planning on a big meal myself. I don't cook much. So if you provide the tenders.
That might be I like that idea a whole lot. Okay.
Time now for week 7 contests with the folks at Massey Computer Ratings furnishing the projected margin of victory. I just don't feel comfortable saying spread anymore. It's
I do. It's fine.
Okay. First game up. We talked with Coach Masters about it. No, you've got UMary at Duluth on the schedule there. Why do I have on my, well, I'm going to make an audible here. UMary at Duluth. Got it?
Well, let's take a look-see here. We've got the list of games.
But you had them in a different order.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? I can pull up whatever game you'd like for me first. You want me to pull up the Wayne State at the top of the list then?
UMary and Duluth is fine.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm always ready, buddy.
Mary's 0-6, Duluth 5-1. Duluth favored by 31 according to Massey, and I fully expect the Bulldogs to easily cover that spread.
Yeah. Mary has shown improvement over the last 2 weeks. They lost by 1 score to CSP, and then they lost by 10 to Winona. However, Duluth's a little bit of a different beast. And at Moloski, if you're a team that's winless, I'm not sure this is a place to go try and get that win. I like UMD at home.
Next up on the screen there is my game. USF 3-3 at MSU Moorhead 3-3. Who's the favorite? Massey says Moorhead by 1. A week ago, USF got home about 8 o'clock after its game in St. Paul. Now, based on the number of passes that Moorhead typically attempts per game, I see probably a 9:30 or 10 o'clock arrival Saturday night. It's not going to be as fast as last weekend. Moorhead is one of 3 NSIC teams that's never beaten the Cougars. Minot and SMSU the others. Based on the remaining schedule, if Sioux Falls expects to have a 29th consecutive winning season, it'll need to take care of business in Moorhead. I say they do, but it's going to be tight.
You know, the Cougars, we might have mentioned this before, but they're still sitting at 2 sacks for the year, Tom.
Yeah. Bring that up to Coach Glagowski. He wants to hear some more of that.
Yeah, and you know, with the way Moorhead gets rid of the ball quickly and passes nearly nonstop, maybe USF's going to rush 2 and drop 9 into coverage. Okay, Glow, put your pitchfork down. It's going to be okay. You know, the Dragons last week, if you didn't hear this already, they handed the ball off 1 time last week at Mankato. The quarterback ran for his life on a few others. And then they passed the ball 66 times, ended up with 0 passes ending up in the arms of the Mavericks. It's fairly impressive. They're really something to watch. And we kind of talked about this, Tom, heading on into their game with Mankato, that this would be something to keep your eyes off. I just didn't realize they would do it quite that well. Now, that said, you know, it makes me think, Tom, back to when I used to, you know, coach my son's tackle football team, 5th and 6th grade. We had the smallest offensive line in the Sioux Falls League. We didn't have any big kids, any ringers at all. So we passed the ball a whole heck of a lot because I had a quarterback who was very skilled and could get the ball out to our players in space on the perimeter. We played that kind of game offensively out there, and we won probably half of our games, and the parents didn't think we were going to win any. Well, I think the Dragons, to some extent, have adopted this philosophy of playing the game as much as they can outside of the box. And they do it exceptionally well. At the same time, USF hasn't shown that they are really good open field tacklers this year. So I think if you're, you know, USF and, you know, you're going to have to keep up a little bit offensively, I think, in this game and have a strong day from your offense, because I think you're at risk with Moorhead because of the way they run this offense like a machine. And, you know, the thing is that Moorhead is a little bit at risk here with having an almost a massive upset at Mankato letdown. I'm taking them in this game because of their offensive execution against Sioux Falls, but I think it's going to be an interesting chess match.
If Strand completes the majority of his passes, maybe the game won't be as long as I think it might be. We shall see. Moving right along, Bemidji State 4-1, coming off their bye. At Wayne State 5-1. Bemidji is the favorite. 7 is the margin there, according to Massey. The Beavers coming off that bye. Wayne State with the big home win over UMD. Man, each team's only loss has been to Mankato. Wayne State hasn't lost at home yet under podcast guest Logan Masters. The Wildcats are 9-0 at Bob Cunningham Field in Masters 2 seasons. This is totally a pick'em game for me, Whit. Go with the rested Beavers or go with the home team. I choose Wayne State. How do you like them apples?
Coach Masters got to you, didn't he?
He did, yes.
Well, are the Beavers going to have kind of a Mankato loss hangover, or they have 2 weeks to prepare here for this opponent? I think that's a pretty big advantage. I really do, especially against a good opponent like Wayne. While Wayne leads the league in interceptions, gotten, Bemidji is right behind him, and I expect the ball to be in the air plenty in this one. I think both teams are going to be able to slow down each other's running game. I kind of see Mankato as 1A in the league, and I have Bemidji as 1B. Very similar to last year, okay? I'm taking BSU here, but I'm not sure they cover the 7.
Well, I made date night for Coach Masters and his wife, and you just spoiled it. The non-conference contest Saturday, Western Oregon of the Lone Star Conference at Minnesota State Mankato. Oregon, Western Oregon, the Wolves 3-3. They've won 2 in a row. Mankato, as we all know, here in the NSIC, unbeaten at 6-0. The Wolves losses 45-7 at South Dakota State to open the season, a 1-point defeat at Eastern New Mexico, and then a 17-7 loss to Central Washington. Mankato realizes it was fortunate to win last Saturday. I think they take the close victory over Moorhead to heart, and they cover this weekend at the Blake.
Looking at Central Washington right now, they are 4-0 in Division II play. Okay, Central Washington is. And they could very well end up being a playoff team from the Lone Star. It's weird that we're talking about Central Washington and Western Oregon in the Lone Star Conference, which is primarily Texas, New Mexico teams. But, Western Oregon kind of does this every year. They play a good FCS right away. As a Division II team on the West Coast, they have a heck of a time finding non-conference games. So the fact that Mankato had an opening here is probably a great thing for them. Oddly enough, you mentioned that they're in the Lone Star, and, they hold their own against those squads in the Lone Star Conference, which isn't a bad conference in Division II. It's fairly solid. They play a physical downhill style of football. I expect, they had, as I take a look, they had a close game, recently where I thought that they could have won it. And I think Mankato is going to have some challenges because of the fact that I don't think that they're just going to be plug and play better right off the bat in this contest from a week ago. However, I do think Mankato does end up covering this, and I think they get it going in the second half. But I wouldn't be entirely shocked if Western gave them a better game than maybe a lot of Maverick fans are anticipating.
Western Oregon and Central Washington, any rumors that they're going to the ACC?
Yeah, I was going to say with being out west, it's almost a tough survival, to be honest, buddy. It really is.
Yeah, I can well imagine. Let's see here. Concordia St. Paul, 2-4 at 0-6 Minot State. Boy, Massey says Concordia by 7. Oof. I've seen both these teams in person, and I think Concordia is the far more dangerous squad. And I expect the Golden Bears to deliver Minot State a 7th straight loss.
Now, you didn't mention, let me ask you this, Tom. Do you think the Golden Bears would cover that 7 if that was an official line?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think you've hit the nail on the head across the board here. I think so too. If this game was taking place a little earlier in the year, I think Minot would be a little bit more the pick, to be real frank. Long trip to Minot for Concordia here. I have pretty big concerns right now about Minot and potentially their depth at those skill positions at this point in the year. I feel like CSP is a lot closer to a mid-level squad than a bottom one. I think that they just have too much offensively. CSP does, and I think they're not too bad up front either. I like them to cover that 7.
You mentioned a long trip to Minot for CSP. There are no short trips to Minot unless you're the University of Mary. That's about a 2-hour haul. Moving on. Augustana 6-0, newly minted in the top 25. At 3-3, Winona State. It's homecoming for the Warriors. Augie is favored by 6. Now, Winona State has never lost at home under Coach Brian Bergstrom. The Warriors are 7-0 in 2 seasons in Winona. I believe that wing string ends Saturday. Augie remains unbeaten. So much for me hating the Vikings.
Do you have them covered?
I don't care. They're going to win.
Okay, so in other words, you don't have them covered, but you got them winning. Okay, I see.
Well, 6, yeah, they're going to win by more than 6. Yes.
Yeah, see, I'm holding you accountable here. I've really gone back and forth on this one, buddy. They play different. Winona does at home. I also don't think Augie has been all that tested. When you really look, I mean, who have they beaten so far?
Moorhead,
Sioux Falls, both who are sitting at 3-3. So it's hard, it's still hard to get a good measure on them. I keep coming back though to I don't know if Winona's offense is good enough to win this game for them. I think their defense certainly is. And they beat down Augustana last year at Winona. But I think this Augie team is just different. They're healthier. Mr. Bauman's, he's playing a whole lot better. They got a whole lot of good receivers. I'm going to take Augie on the road. I'll say that they'll cover here.
Okay. We're like-minded on that one. Last but not least, scroll up a little bit there so everybody can see it at home with.
Okay, good deal.
Not showing on my screen.
You see it now?
I do now. Northern State, Southwest Minnesota State, Marshall, Minnesota, 4 p.m. kickoff. Home teams have 21 victories this fall in conference play, 14 losses. I'd like to think SMSU could protect its home field, Matkey Field, but I don't have a good feeling about this one. I'm going to side with Massey. Favored by 10 are the Wolves. They're going to get the road dub.
I like the Wolves to win, but I don't like them to cover. I've got a little concern that, they're having this rotation at quarterback due to injuries, not because they want to do that. And it's kind of hard to get a rhythm when you have that going on. I think they still have some really nice weapons in that offense, with Dakota Larson and Ingram both, 2 of the top wideouts in the league. And I think their defense is playing a little bit better. Coach Schmidt is now calling the defense, and I think they got off to a great start a week ago. I like them in a lower scoring game here, but I don't like them to cover. I'll take Northern. All
right. Through 6 weeks, the standings, how much you beaten me by? Am I a rented mule over here?
Well, you know what? I don't have them added up at the moment, buddy. Here's what I do have. I'm the entire season and 1.
Okay, you've lost once. I've lost how many?
And you've lost 5. So you need for me to really fall down. And do we have any differences this week? Yes, we did. We had Wayne. So you got to put your pom-poms going for Wayne just to get back in this race a little bit.
Well, I'm pulling for him. Go Coach Masters.
Yes.
Okay, we're getting towards the end of the show here. I hesitate to ask.
Of course we do.
We got some Jeopardy or we got mailbag questions. What is it?
Well, we not much activity on the mailbag other than people, giving you a hard time about your hair. But what we're looking at now is this is really, Tom, I get so much interest in people wanting to see you do Northern Sun Jeopardy. I'm sure, when Coach Masters and his wife are watching the show, they probably see how well they will do at this. And you just need to make sure you don't do worse than all the coaches, okay?
I can tell you this, I'm no Ken Jennings, but I'll try my best.
Apparently he's a contestant or something like that.
Ken Jennings has won.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. In Jeopardy nerd circles, he's a big deal. I forget. 74
consecutive wins before he blew a final Jeopardy by saying FedEx instead of H&R Block.
Great. That good story. Okay. So we're going to move ahead with some Northern Sun Jeopardy here. These, I'm going to be honest with you, Tom, these 5 questions that we have here, I have a hard time thinking that you're going to get at least half of them right.
I did no studying.
Well, you know what? The good thing is you prove me right and don't do well on this. But last time we did it, you did better than I was expecting, so I'm not sure. Okay, you're not pulling up your pewter and looking through things. Okay, we're going to need like a mirror here or something. But lowest scoring offense in the Northern Sun.
My not. State.
And Southwest.
Really?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, we're off to a good start already.
0 for 1.
Let's go ahead with lowest time of possession per game in the. I told you these weren't going to be easy. Think about it for a minute here. Lowest time of possession per game.
Southwest Minnesota State. SMSU, the Mustangs, Ponies out of Marshall, Minnesota, lowest scoring team in the league.
And Coach Masters squad, Wayne State.
They're highly efficient. They just don't have the ball for that much.
I knew that one would throw you for a loop. Guess who's got the best time of possession? It's actually UMD and Moorhead are right up there. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
But anyway. So let's go most efficient red zone offense. Apparently this is a knee slapper for you. You're 0 for 2 so far. No pressure here. Tell us what you're thinking, Tom. You got to blow your nose too? Okay.
Yeah, that's enough. Most efficient red zone offense.
How do we both have a cold for the show?
I'm going with the MSU and Cato.
The entire song played on that one.
Yeah, 30 seconds. I get 30 seconds for Final Jeopardy.
The Vikings of Augustana. Now you're 0 for 3. We might have to get extra questions just to have you get one right. Okay, so you can well imagine the team with the fewest passing yards. Is that your microwave going off, or is that your phone?
No, it's a crock pot, not a microwave.
It's okay, Glow. It's ready. So Minot is, of course, going to have the fewest passing yards in the league because of the offense they run.
The triple option.
Who has the second fewest passing yards in the Northern Sun? We got to get a picture of that blank stare. Struggling to get one right here.
It is dead last. I'm going to go with Mary.
Minnesota Duluth.
Wow. They sure look good throwing the ball against the Cougars. I would.
Okay, let's see if we can get out of the outhouse here. Most penalized team in the Northern Sun.
Thank you very much. I got this one, I think. University of Sioux Falls.
0 for 5 we are.
You got to be kidding me.
Northern State.
God.
They have them by 10 more infractions.
10 more infractions?
Yes.
Holy smokes. Cougars are averaging about 7 or 8 a game.
You're just allowing Glow to talk you into the fact that they must be the most penalized team. That's what it is.
Yeah. So Northern must be about 9 or 10 infractions per game. Wow. Well, you did a wonderful job of coming up with some stumpers there, my friend.
Yeah, we'll need to dumb it down a little bit for next week, but I'll work on that. Okay. Well, I appreciate you for playing. You're always a good sport with that, buddy.
The NSIC Weekly is a production of D2Football.com. Join the D2 community every Sunday night at 7 o'clock for an inside look at Division II football on X, formerly Twitter, on YouTube, and I guess it's on the Facebook, although I've never been on the Facebook. They'd love for you to eavesdrop into their conversation Sunday nights at 7. Thank you to Wayne State coach Logan Masters for joining the pod, and to the NSIC's Nick Cornder for the website info our chief cook and bottle washer uses as eye candy each week. This is Matt Witwicky and Tom Frederick saying so long from NSIC Weekly.